Perfect. Okay. Well, it's been an interesting couple days. I am not going to attempt to make my screen full screen because it always seems like I have trouble when I do that. So I'll go ahead and start. But it's 8:01, so we're getting off to a big start. Jack had originally told me that he would be out of town, so I was prepared to deliver without, having Jack here, but, he's here, so yay. What I'm going to be talking about tonight, the Take Action Marketing Implementation Mastermind Group, and I just wanted to let you know that it's really interesting. We had an accountability call on Friday, just a teleseminar, and the results that people were telling me were pretty darn phenomenal. People were sharing that they took the action steps, and one of the things that I thought was really interesting was how many people actually did tremendous amounts of volume in terms of moving forward with their business, and they didn't even realize how much work they had actually done. They actually would preface their statement with, well, I just did setup this week, and then they would proceed to tell me how they researched 10 people, how they set up 10 demo sites, and they did a whole bunch of prep work so that on Monday they could just, boom, put it out there. And then other people said, I actually went to a networking event and I talked to people with confidence. So I just wanted to share that because it was very interesting. And then several people on the call said that the other people inspired them and that they felt like the support of the whole group was really helpful. So I just wanted to report that to you before I get started. And tonight I'm talking about power conversations for results and how to build business relationships that help you achieve your goals. And I'm going to start off with some myths, because these are all myths that I've heard people say or that I've actually said to myself. And this was my personal myth. I would always say, I am not a salesperson. I don't sell. I don't like to sell. I don't want to be perceived as a salesperson. But the truth is, we're all salespeople. We were born to be salespeople because think about it. When you're born, the way that you communicate to your mother when you're hungry is you cry. And of course your mother feeds you and you stop crying, and of course you learn how to communicate before you can talk, and of course you're cared for. So we were born as little salespeople. And I want you to know that the beauty of you having your local theme jack and your mobile wizard and your video marketing and all of those niche tools, because you have fabulous tools with your lead finders and everything, that you don't have to be a salesperson. All you really have to be is someone who wants to help somebody and educate them about what's going on in the online world. And it's not about being a salesperson or about trying to sell something to somebody that they don't want. You have something that people need. They need mobile responsive websites. They need videos. They need content. So I just want to address a couple myths, and to tell you the truth, I wrote down more than 25, and I'm only sharing, I believe, about 5 here. Another myth is I'm an introvert and I can't talk to people. That's a big lie. An introvert really, it's not about not being able to talk to people. It's about being someone who gets drained from interacting with people. So I am an introvert. I get drained physically when I interact with people. So what does that mean? It means I can go out and talk to people, interact with people, teach people, educate people, but then I have to come home and I have to decompress and try to get my energy back, you know, by eating right, taking a nap, and things like that. So even if you are someone who is an introvert, someone who gets drained by people, you still can learn how to be a good networker or a good educator advocate, and you don't have to see yourself as a salesperson at all. Another myth, and I heard this a lot in with the mastermind call and with the accountability call, a few people said, you know, I don't feel I know enough to sell anything to anyone. I think I need to learn more. I don't know enough. Well, the truth is, this is really an excuse. This is that part of you that wants everything to be perfect, everything that with the ducks in a row, that everything has to be A, B, C, D, and perfect. Well, the reality is nothing is ever perfect. For example, as you know, the local theme jacks keep getting improved, keep getting improved, keep getting improved. If Jack didn't keep improving, it would still be back to version 1.0, and it wouldn't be better like it is now. If Jack didn't keep innovating, like with Sales Dynamite and with the Lead Finder, it would still be like, what are we going to do? How do I do this? And instead, we have innovations constantly. You know enough to sell these websites because they're done. You have a demo site. All you have to do is know enough to tell the people, I need your information. I need your name, address, phone number, and that information, and any photos you like, and any information you like, and we will customize it to you. You've got everything that you need, and you don't have to know how to do the tech to sell it. So don't get into that habit of saying, I have to know every little nuance about how to set it all up before you actually sell it, because you can go sell it and then give yourself enough time to fulfill it. So I want you to understand that you don't want these myths that you don't know enough. Another one that I've heard from a couple people is, I don't know anyone. I don't belong to any groups, clubs, or organizations. And of course I'm saying, so you live under a rock in the middle of Montana on top of a mountain with no Wi-Fi, which maybe that's the truth. But you want to be sure that you really start looking at, who do you know? You do know people. You have family. You have friends. You have probably children in school. You do know people, and even if you don't belong to any groups, clubs, or organizations, you can still reach out to them. The other day, Wesley Hazlett was on the call, and I mentioned Rotary clubs as a place to go speak about the new mobile-friendly update, which the deadline, of course, is tomorrow already. But that's okay, because there's plenty of news to talk to people about. That, you know, April 21st will come and go, and people will still need mobile responsive websites. And Wesley, he sent out an email, I believe it was last Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, he had a speaking engagement to talk to a Rotary Club where he lives about the mobile-friendly update. So action is going to trump everything. You don't need to know anyone to get your business rolling. And then again, another myth is, I don't know how to fill in the blank here. Again, it goes back to that knowing how to do something. You don't have to know all the details. Your customer certainly does not have to know how it works. All your customer needs to know is, do I need it? Yes or no? Is it going to get me new customers and clients? Yes or no? How much is it going to cost me to get it started? How much is it going to cost me on a regular basis? And are you going to be there with me, holding my hand every step of the way? And that's the truth. They don't need to know anything about how it all works in the back end and all of the tech. When you start to talk to people about the tech, their eyes roll into the back of their head and they tune you out because they don't understand the language you're speaking. It's equivalent to you speaking Chinese or Japanese to someone. When you start to talk to them in tech speak, they don't know what you're saying. It's like reading the back of a fortune cookie and you're trying to sound out the words, that are in Chinese, or trying to decipher the Chinese characters. You don't know, so you just go, oh, I don't understand, and you start to ignore it. And then, of course, another myth that I heard, and I was actually, when Jack turned the call over to me, I was actually trying to get these big. So the myth is, I don't have time to create my own business. So I actually was talking to a person the other day on the telephone. They called me and they said, what do? I work 6 days a week, like from 9 until 8 every day. I only have Sundays off, and then of course I can't do my own business during that time. And so I told the person, I said, well, figure out what it is that you can do with the time that you have, because obviously if you only have Sunday and then maybe a couple hours at night to grow your business, you certainly have to really focus really hard on your client. And my suggestion to that person was to create their website and possibly try to have it so that people could fill out forms on their website to move forward. That was just an idea, but this is something that you have to figure out. I don't know your personal circumstances. I just know that you have to figure out, if you want your own business, you have to have this humongous why, or you're not going to do it. And if you're working 6 days a week, from 9 to 8, you really are, you have time constraints there, so you really have to figure it out and be very focused on what you're doing. So I'm going to leave my myths now, because I just wanted to address those, because these actually come from real conversations I've been having with people in this past week as they're trying to move forward to grow their business. They've been talking to me and asking me these types of questions, and it made me realize some of the myths that we tell ourselves when we're trying to move forward. This is another thing that I want you to understand. A lot of people, again, it goes back to that salesperson mentality. Nobody wants to be perceived as the used car salesman or a salesperson because they feel like a salesperson doesn't provide value. But the truth is, you are a valuable resource. You are coming to the table bringing value because you know how to help businesses get found online. So I want you to really understand that you are selling a product, yes, but you are not selling per se. You are actually educating and advocating and helping people to grow their business, and that is a position where you are seen as more of a marketing consultant than that commodity guy who's trying to sell the cheapest widget on the block. You do not want to be seen as a commodity, because people who are seen as commodities are not valued. And what you have is a true value. I just want you to know that. Now I'm going to start talking about how to network a little bit and how to talk to clients. And again, when you go out and talk to people, and this does not matter if you are writing them an email or talking to them in person or if you're out there one-on-one, one-to-many, you want to focus on building trust, rapport, and good communication. Think about good communication. Listeners are highly valued. The more you listen, and the more you will be valued, because you have to listen in order to be able to come up with a solution for someone's problem. So when you start to talk to people, and again, this is either in writing or when you speak to them, you have to focus on building trust and rapport, because people who don't know you, like you, and most of all, if they do not trust you, they will not buy from you. So you have to make sure that everything you do is making you come across as a credible authority, so that they can trust that no matter what, you're going to be there for them through it all. And once that happens, they will start to give you more and more of their business. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what would be called the power networking process. And again, think about this in a bigger picture about how you are trying to develop your business, client, customer network. And again, the more you can do research about your potential client, again, I'm coming from the place of creating relationships with my clients. If I can research them, the company, the people, and find events where my potential clients are hanging out, or places where my potential clients are hanging out, I can get more clients because I know what they want and what they need. And then, of course, we can connect, and we can connect with people through personal meetings, online, email, conversations, of course, also Facebook. I do a lot of actual sales on Facebook in the chat private message function. I was amazed at how you can convey information quickly, boom, boom, boom. You know, you have a conversation and you close deals. And then, of course, this is the biggest thing where most of us fail, follow-up. You have to be following up with people 24 to 48 hours after you first talk to them or contact them. And you can follow up using social media, email, telephone. Of course, you can set up personal follow-up meetings. And then, of course, the outcome, after you meet someone and connect with them, you want to have either meetings in person, meetings online. There are a lot of tools to meet people online. You want to ask for referrals or get referrals or refer people to other people. And then, of course, are you achieving your goal of growing your client base or your network? And then, of course, you have to be able to measure the results so that you know, well, if I have one new client this week and I talk to 10 people, that would be a 10% closing rate. If I talk to 3 people, close one, that's 33%. So you have to measure your results, and what you're measuring has to be something that makes sense for the goal. And then, of course, you have to be flexible and open, because when you have your goals and your action plan and your game plans that you create, you have to be somebody that, gee, that didn't work that well, but hey, look at this. People are really responding to this, so I'm going to move in this direction to grow my business, because that's what it's all about. We're trying to create a powerful client network. So good networking skills, and again, this all boils down into what do you say to people, but if you think about it, you have to have the ability to approach other people. So you have to get comfortable striking up conversations with strangers. I remember when I was a little girl, I used to hide behind my dad's leg. I was terrified of strangers. Then I got married and I got a divorce, and I could hardly stand to go into a restaurant to eat by myself because it was boring to me. Now, obviously, I can travel by myself, I can eat out by myself, and I certainly can strike up conversations with strangers because I've matured and my self-esteem has grown. But you have to start getting comfortable. Go out of your comfort zone, get out from behind the computer, and talk to people. Also, when you're talking to people, you have to have good nonverbal communication skills. And you know how many people get in trouble with emails because people can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not, or if you send a short message, it's like, you know, why is your message so short? And people will now put, oh, this was sent from an iPhone, so that if you get short messages, people understand why it's so short. And people do. They pay attention to your posture, your facial expressions. Everything has to match so that when you're talking to people, everything's congruent. You know, if your voice and your hands and your smile, you know, you have to have good nonverbal communication when you're in a face-to-face. And then, of course, when you're talking to someone, you have to know how to balance between talking and listening and interjecting with people. And like I said, listening to people when you're trying to help them or want to sell them something, you have to listen to them and try to find out what you have in common, so at least you can have a rapport building conversation. And like I said before, self-confidence is really, really important. One of the people in the accountability call said that just knowing that they had a support system, you know, with us, that they went out and they were able to talk to people about what they did, and their self-confidence went up just by being told, you know, go out and talk to people, you can do it. You know, that's sometimes all we need to be self-confident, because you will get more confident the more you talk to people, the more people explain to you that they value your expertise and your knowledge and your skills. And then, of course, being positive. Being positive, you can, if I smile, you can hear it in my voice. It's really important that you are happy, you have a big smile, of course, in an appropriate circumstance, and that you always have enthusiasm, because it really does inspire other people. And of course, when you're trying to target your people that you're wanting to work with, or companies you want to work with, or products, you can start simply with Google, and then of course you can look at company websites, press releases, find out all kinds of financial information from like Yahoo Finance, check out their LinkedIn and other social media. You can find out a lot about people via LinkedIn and Facebook, with their personal profiles or their business profile. And then, of course, if you're trying to work with people in a specific niche, for example, let's say you want to work with DUI attorneys or plastic surgeons, you can go to specific industry forums, directories, and websites to do research about any niche that you choose, because everyone has a forum, directory, or website for their particular industry. So you can target the people you want to do business with in that way. So I'm going to give you a little assignment. So jot this down. I want you to go ahead and make a list of all the contacts you already have. I know a lot of people, they sometimes they don't want to do this, but if you actually write down the people you already know, especially those of you who think you don't know anyone, write down the people you already know and the clients you already have. Write down the contacts you'd like to have, and then make a list of the power players that can help you reach your goal. This could be in your hometown, for example. These could be the leaders in the community. These could be those Rotarians or the Kiwanians or the people at the Chamber of Commerce, all the power or heavy-duty influencers in your area. And then, of course, you can also research the best places to connect to your market and then create a schedule for visiting them. You need to start scheduling going out and networking, schedule your emails, schedule all of your client or potential client contact so that every day you're doing something that will move you forward to actually talking to real people who could become your clients. Now I'm going to talk about the what to say and how to say it. So the first thing that I want you to do is prepare stock answers for questions that people may ask you. The reason that I'm telling you to do this is because often people will say, well, what do you do? Or, you know, tell me more about this part of your business. And you're like stumbling going, oh my God, what should I say? You know, because there are like so many answers to these questions that, you know, if somebody asks you a question like about content brand marketing, well, I could rattle off 100 different answers that would fit that question. So you want to prepare stock answers for frequently asked questions that people may ask you about your business. So that should be something that you should spend a little bit of time on. And then you want to prepare questions to ask the people you meet so that you can start to build rapport and get to know the people so that you will be able to have conversations with them. And I'll give you some questions for conversation starters. And again, these can be done in a person-to-person type interview. These could be done in a Google form, like if you were trying to get information about a business so that you could develop their website and give them a lot of information. These questions could be used if you're developing videos, FAQ videos. For example, I'll just do a few. I'm not going to say all of them, but for example, tell me about your business. What do you do? Simple question. And listen to what they say. What's the most unique aspect of what you do? What is your biggest goal with your business? And then, of course, as you see, you can read these questions. Another one would be, what type of clients does your business attract? What type of client is your least profitable and why? And then, of course, you could ask, what is the most profitable and why? What is a typical workday like for you? So there's a lot of different questions that you could ask a person that you could develop a lot of rapport with them. And for example, what problems or needs exist within your industry? You can expand on these questions very easily. Closing requests. Before you walk away from a person you're talking to or in an email or in any conversation, both written and in person, or if you're standing in front of a group of 50 to 100 people or 1,000 people, you always want to have some type of next step questions. For example, you could be asking for referrals. You know, what other people do you recommend I talk with? May I tell them you referred me to them? Can I have your email so I can follow up with you next week? You could say, I'd really like to talk to you about this, more about this. What's your phone number? Can we continue this conversation? Let me think about who I can introduce you to further your business goals. Remember, it's not always about you. You're bringing value to the table, but you want to always be trying to find ways that you can help them because it will actually turn in to business eventually because of the law of reciprocity. When people, if you do a favor for someone, people want to do a favor for you. And know that we live in this abundant universe and that there are plenty of clients to go around, plenty of customers. There are millions of small business people out there who need your help. So don't worry about competition from the web guy or the video guy or other people in town, because the odds are that, number one, your clients are not going to be the same people, and you might end up being able to work with each other on some type of project. So I want to talk a little bit about your story that you tell about yourself, and it needs to be engaging. And again, I think about my story, and as it develops, what parts do I want to tell, which parts don't I want to tell, and then who am I when I stand up in front of a group talking about social media or reputation or websites. Of course, my story is always about my credentials and how I can help them grow a huge online presence. So start thinking about your story. And another thing that is really important is that you want to prepare what you're going to say to people when you meet people, and find someone to practice with. This could be obviously somebody in your family, it could be a friend, it could be a coworker, it could be your partner, or it could even be in a group where you're practicing what it is that you're going to say to people when you do meet them, or even practicing what you write to them in an email because you want to make templates. So let's talk a little bit about the elevator speech. And of course, the elevator speech is a short, condensed story that lasts about 30 seconds to a minute. But I don't want you to get stuck on that concept of 30 seconds to a minute, because the reality is you've got to get this out like in 7 to 12 seconds so that they will say to you, really, that's interesting, tell me more. You do not want to go, like, take a breath and go, for 30 seconds to a minute or 2 minutes, because that is a sales pitch, and you don't want to, number one, make the people run because they think they're being pitched. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But you want to write yourself a script about an imagined conversation that will help you to prepare for these real-life situations. And these are very useful, especially if you are someone who has not done a lot of public speaking, or someone who doesn't get out a lot, and that you're not comfortable. Nobody's comfortable walking into a room full of strangers. I mean, I don't care who you are. Walking into a room with a bunch of people you don't know, it's difficult for anyone. So know that if you practice and you choose people you want to talk to in advance when you go out, it'll really be helpful to you. So let's talk a little bit about this elevator speech. Again, it's about creating conversations. Your goal is not to just give, like I said, that one breath of 60 seconds, that commercial. It's to pique their curiosity so that it leads to a two-way conversation. So a successful elevator opening would happen when the other person smiles and they're relaxed and they say, interesting, tell me more, oh, or wow, that's really cool. What else? And they want you to expand on that conversation. Again, it's a short, 1 minute is a long time when you're talking interrupted. And again, your elevator pitch is not your sales pitch. Again, you think 9 seconds to 12 seconds, and it is short. And again, you have to get their attention. There are people who've written about elevator speeches, and they say you have to do the wow factor. You have to wow them very quickly. And other people liken people's attention spans to that of a goldfish. A goldfish, I guess, doesn't remember what happened a second ago. Think of Finding Nemo, and think about, You have to get it out and wow them so they want you to say more. And then, of course, use everyday language. When we speak, you have to always speak using words that are simple, plain English or plain whatever language you speak. When you use words like synergy, optimize, efficiency, ROI, your average everyday person, they may recognize those words, but as soon as you start throwing out words like that, it screams of sales pitch, and you have to make sure that you're using a plain, simple language. And here's a tip. Write out your pitch that you're going to do, and then take the famous red pen and cross out all the cliches, all the platitudes, all the marketing speak, delete the geek speak and the tech talk, and replace them with simple one-syllable words. People do not know what tech talk or geek speak means. Like when you start talking about backlinking and search engine optimization and content management system and things, they're like, they have no idea. I mean, some people would, but your average business person, you're just going to put them asleep. Now, I wanted to point this out. I pulled these from LinkedIn, and these are actually what some big authority gurus write on their LinkedIn. And so I wanted to just point these out and deconstruct it for you. For example, this one says, I do one thing. So let's say, hi, I'm Tammy Patzer. I do one thing. Help entrepreneurs leverage their knowledge to gain authority status in their industry, get massive national exposure, then show how to convert the new audience into high-paying customers. That is a short speech. Notice the words help. Okay, they use the words, I help entrepreneurs leverage their knowledge to gain authority status, get, then show. So you fill in the blank. If you were to write that for yourself, I do one thing, help, and then fill in the blank. To gain, fill in the blank. Get, fill in the blank. Then show how to convert blank into high-paying customers. And then the second part is all about their background. I write for the Huffington Post on the topic of personal branding and authority marketing. So they're using third-person credibility, and then they're saying, I've also been profiled and featured on the Howard Stern Show, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Advertising Age, Perez Hilton, and dozens of other media outlets. Let me do the same for you. So they said, I do this one thing, and then they say, here's my credentials, and they threw out all those great credentials. Let me do the same for you. Here's another one, and this is based on the you know how hard it is to get into, you know how hard it is to get found online, you know how hard it is to do whatever. And then, so they say, do you know how hard it is to get into national publications like NBC, CBS, so you can become a celebrity in your field of expertise? Or so you can become found online, or you can be found online in your field of expertise for your plumbing business. Let's say that you're trying to focus on plumbers. I solve this. The term I solve this is a short 3-word phrase. So you're saying, you know how hard it is? You're showing, this is your problem. I solve your problem. How do I do it? I do this by utilizing a special insider's website. So you could say, you know how hard it is to get found online without a mobile responsive website for plumbers? I solved this. I do this by using a mobile responsive website, da-da-da-da-da. You know, you can say that to become, you know, work with me, go here. So again, you pose the pain or the problem. You know how hard it is to get into. I solved this problem, and then you say how you solved the problem. Very short, to the point, and of course you can use these to get people to pay attention to you. Again, I want you to practice any of your conversations with other people so that you can get their feedback. And this is important because the feedback that you're looking for is, do you come across as being knowledgeable? Do you come across as being somebody who you can trust? Do you come across as being creepy or icky or self-serving or too salesy? Find out what the feeling is that you are evoking from your partner that you're having these conversations with. I recently had a conversation with a person who wanted me to help them grow their business, but the way they treated me made me feel icky. So I ran. And I'm pretty sure that person's intention was not to make me not want to do business with them. I think it was actually the opposite, but because of the way they treated me, they immediately turned me off. And even though I had thought about their business and I was willing to, I had like 20 ideas that they could have got free off the top of my head, but the way they treated me when they met me, and they closed me down immediately, and I just shut my mouth, listened to them, and left. So they got nothing out of me because of how their initial response to me when I met them, because of how they treated me. So you have to be sure that the way you're coming across is how you mean to come across. You want to come across as knowledgeable. You want to have authority. You want to give good value to the people that you want to have become your customers. So this is your assignment on this part. I want you to come up with a hypothetical conversation script and do that personal FAQ with the answers to the stock questions. Prepare your own questions to ask, the opening and closing, and of course practice with a partner for feedback. And I did post a handout in Local Theme Jack and Leads Master Pro and in the mastermind group so that people would have this handout so that you could see what your homework assignments are if you choose to work on this. I want to talk now about follow-up, and it's something that I admit it, I have struggled with, and if I were to kick myself in the rear with 20/20 hindsight, it would be about all the follow-up I didn't do because it got away from me. And the reason that people don't follow up is because we always assume that the other person is going to follow up, but if we don't follow up within 24 to 48 hours, this opportunity, it's like that door closes and people forget, they get busy, and even if they really, really were interested and they wanted to do something with you, excuse me, if you don't follow up, they're just going to go on to the next thing, and then the next person who may offer your same services may end up becoming the person they work with because you opened the door, you primed it, you educated them, you helped them understand, hey, I have a pain that needs to be fixed, but then you didn't follow up. And so it's like the next person comes in, their person's all primed, and so they buy from the person who does follow up. So keep in mind that you want to have a follow-up schedule, and you have to plan to follow up 24 to 48 hours after you meet a new contact. And that follow-up could be in any form. It could be a telephone call, it could be an email, it could even be a handwritten note. Oh my God, a handwritten thank you card. You know, when was the last time you got one of those? So remind the person of your name and where you met. Don't assume, you pick up the phone, hey, this is Tammy. They may or may not know you. Like me, I'm really good on faces, but not really good on names until I get to know you better. So always remember, tell the person your name and where you met. And if you're following up with email, make sure that you put as much pertinent information as possible in the subject line or in your email so that they know who you are. And then, of course, if you know something specific about them, show that you were listening. For example, if you noticed, Jack, his daughter, went to volleyball, and they were listening because they said, how did your daughter do at the volleyball tournament? He said, well, she did very well, but the team didn't. So that was a little personal connection that if you remember that about Jack and you were to write him an email, a personal type follow-up email, you could say, well, I hope your daughter's doing well with her volleyball team, or I hope your son's doing well with his tuba, different things like that, because you are listening and you know something specific that you can connect with them about. Your next step is going to be to schedule a follow-up conversation. Always try to have some concrete follow-up, either when you contact them by email or you call them on the phone, or maybe you made that follow-up appointment with them when you actually met them. So have your phone ready so that you can check your calendar and make appointments like that, so that you always have a next step with the people that you're doing business with. And of course, the follow-up etiquette is you always want to be real and authentic. And of course, with email, make sure that you're always friendly and polite and that it's really clear what you're trying to say, because like I said, email is where a lot of people get in trouble because they can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not sometimes. So always try to have a nice, friendly email. And always think of this as your follow-up is the way to deepen that relationship, get to know the person better, get the know, like, trust factor going so that they'll want to do business with you. And know that a lot of this, it's not like a long, drawn-out process. A lot of this relationship building can happen sometimes in minutes or a couple days, over time. You can develop very deep business relationships on Facebook, on LinkedIn, by participating in webinars. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can create relationships that don't require a lot of time or, like weeks or months. We're talking about minutes, hours, days to create some of these business relationships. So the assignment on this one is I want you to write a follow-up email template to use after your networking conversation or your business conversation. And you'll want to create an opening, and then you want to leave placeholders for filling in the information about who you are, where you met, what you talked about, and what the next steps are. Maybe it's a proposal, maybe it's a website, maybe you're writing them to get all the information about their new website or whatever you're doing for them. And then, of course, write a closing that would be friendly and nice and give them more action steps. I want to end this, and we're coming up, we're just short of about an hour tonight, but I want to end this talking about mindset, because again, it's really, really important that you have a really positive mindset when you're trying to communicate with other people and trying to break through whatever it is that's holding you back from either getting one client a week or growing or scaling your business, whatever it is. So the first thing related to your mindset is about your strengths. And all this means is know what it is that makes you valuable and strong. And when you're talking to people and setting appointments, calling them on the phone or sending an email or trying to make a contact to talk to them about your business, and right now we're talking about our mobile responsive websites. Remember, when I say it's no big deal, what I mean is getting out there and talking to people, even if you don't know 100% of every single thing that you could know, you know more than they do, so it's no big deal. What's the worst thing that could happen? You might talk to them and they might talk to you, and you might get a business card or you might not. Move to the next person. And then remember that when you provide value for other people, when you educate them, like when you tell somebody, hey, your mobile website is not mobile responsive, or somebody is panicking because tomorrow is April 21st and all of a sudden their mobile website their website isn't appearing, or it has a flag on it that says this site is not mobile friendly, then you can say, don't worry, I can help you. I'll be there for you. And then, of course, the fake it till you make it idea. Again, you do not have to know 100% of everything there is to know, and your client does not need to know how it's done. They don't need to know any of the tech. If your clients are asking you about the technical side, they're probably not a good fit because they probably are a webmaster or something. They don't need to know how it works. They just need to know, like I said before, will it help me get new clients? How much does it cost? What do I do to make you get it to work for me now, and when am I going to get it back? Again, there's no way that you can lose in this because you have something of great value that you bring to the table. And of course, the more you prepare, the more you practice what you're going to say to people, the more you get out there and actually talk to real people, either one-to-one or one-to-many, the more clients you're going to get in the door. And the main thing you need to know is it gets easier and easier and easier. I know that every time I go out and speak, I get more confident, and when people respond to me in a positive way, I get even more confident because I know I'm bringing value to the people who need it, and they're seeking that from me. So I also, to finish all this up, I want you guys to all be putting a game plan together and be really specific. And this is related to, let's say, this coming week. If you're going to go talk to people, let's say that you want to do work with plastic surgeons, there may be a plastic surgeons event near you or a networking meeting that the plastic surgeon goes to. Put on the calendar that you're going to this event, or get invited to a BNI meeting, or get invited to a Rotary meeting or a chamber meeting. And then research the people or companies you want to do business with. And again, choose 5 or 10 people. I mean, some of them may not be at that event that night. And start to actually schedule and put dates down on the calendar and deadlines about when you're going to get things done and how you're going to follow up. For example, if you go to a networking event on Wednesday, you need to follow up on Thursday and Friday. So you need to pencil that in to your calendar. Okay, I have to work that day because I still have a job, but I'm going to make myself work from 8 to 9 o'clock at night to send out my follow-up emails to the people I met at that Wednesday event. So you have to start actually forcing deadlines on yourself, because most of us will procrastinate and not do something unless we force a deadline on it. And when you only give yourself 24 hours from the time of the event, that really helps to put a little urgency into it. And I think what you'll find is all of a sudden you're following up when before you maybe just let it languish and you didn't really do anything, and that you don't have the clients to show for it. So you're able to measure all of this stuff by who did I talk to, how many people did I talk to, hey, I got a new client this week from that networking event, or the emails that I sent out. And the last thing that I want you to do is write down your goal. What is your big motivating goal? Put it where you can see it, and then come up with 3 tips that help you with your own personal mindset, and then go for it. And that's what I have for tonight. So I hope that the last 57 minutes were worth your time. And I know I crammed a lot of information into it, and I went really, really fast. But I just want you to know that if you start setting these goals and you become very focused, it does not matter if you're working at a JOB, even if all you have is an hour a week that you can really, really focus, you will be amazed at what you can accomplish in a very short, specific amount of time. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the questions now, and if Jack wants to come back on, I'll let you do that, but I'll look at the questions here. Let's see. I'm going kind of from the bottom and up. Andre, I did post the slides and the handout already in all of the groups. Let's see. Let me see here. Marilyn, asking about how to introduce yourself on the phone. Okay. Local biz specialist. So far, I haven't had any luck with what I'm saying. You know what? A lot of times, what you say when you get on the phone, I think it really depends on if you're cold calling or if you're following up. I am not a cold caller type person, but I think that if you eliminate the words local marketing specialist or local biz specialist, you know, you're a local business owner too, and I don't even know that you have to identify yourself as being a local business specialist. I think you could identify yourself like, hi, this is Tammy Patzer. I work with people, I help people get found online, and Google just updated the mobile responsive. You know, again, I'm ad-libbing here, but just say, I wanted to let you know that Google is doing something that you need to know about. And if you actually look at some of the emails about April 21st, I've written some very succinct lines, but really, Google has a deadline that all people need to have mobile responsive websites. You need to know about it. I checked your website and it's not mobile friendly. Stop. Wait for them to say something, because they're going, you know, at some point, you know, you have to stop saying something and let them respond to you. So keep it short, like one sentence that you're calling. But again, I'm not a big cold caller person. There are lots of ways, you know, you could be following up on an email, so that if you are sending emails and they open the email, and then you know they open the email, call them as soon as you know they open the email and start talking to them. Who's Mary Teresa? That's funny. Mary Teresa says she never thought about all this stuff getting easier. Yes, and Mary Teresa actually is in the mastermind group, and she had some major breakthroughs last week. She actually told us on the call that she went out and talked to people, and she had never really done that before. So I thought that was really massive stuff. Okay, let's see here. Do I need a business card? You know, that question is very interesting because a lot of people will ask you for a business card, and there's two schools of thought. I actually half the time don't even have a business card, and I ask them for theirs so that it puts it into my lap to follow up. And one of the reasons I do that is because I actually had a system where I could do what I call the magic trick to try to capture their leads. I would get business cards just because that is the way local business people have been trained. They are trained to ask for business cards, and it just makes it easier when you don't have a business card. There's like a little bit of an uncomfortableness that happens, but you don't have to have business cards. Don't let not having a business card stop you. Just say, oh, my business cards are at the printer. Give me yours, please. Okay? And then write notes on your cards so that you know something personal about them. Do not let not having a business card stop you, whatever you do. Go out anyway. Let me see. Okay, I can't answer any technical questions right now, but let's see. Jerry Brunette is right. He says, even with 1 week of training, we are all 1 week ahead of our smartest prospects. And that's actually 100% true. So don't worry about not knowing enough. You just need to know enough, which is Google is penalizing people with non-mobile responsive websites. You need to have a mobile responsive website. You know, you don't need to know everything. Right, and Carl says people like to buy, they don't like to be sold. That's true. And let's see. Okay, are there, let's see. Oh, good. Mary Teresa says, update. I also sent an email to an old prospect on Friday. Received an email back already. That is great. Keith Winter, great 57 minutes of positive info helped me a lot. I have no problem talking to people. It's the techie side I fall down on. I got to admit, LFJ has helped me a lot since I joined. Thanks. Well, that is absolutely true. But again, don't let the tech stop you from selling. You don't need to know the tech to sell it. Sell it, then you worry about getting the fulfillment. That's a major point that everybody needs to understand is you don't need to know the tech in order to sell it. You sell it, then you can get it fulfilled, but you have to have the money coming in the door on a regular basis so that you can keep, doing this, especially if you're planning on making this a full-time business. You have to get the cash flowing. Nick is asking, do you have any training on what to say when they don't want a new site? I don't know what happened. That thing just disappeared. All I can tell you about that is if they don't want a new site, then you can talk to them about whatever it is that they do want and listen to what they say. That's what I would do. I would just, talk to them, or I would talk to them about creating additional digital assets, because there's nothing that says that you can't have multiple websites, especially mobile responsive websites that have lead capture built into them, like the local ThemeJack niche sites do. So you've got a lot of different opportunities, and don't let that stop you from talking to them about creating additional digital assets, because that is what websites are digital assets. That's how I would handle that. I don't see any additional questions. So I'm going to go ahead and close it out for now. I did put a PDF into Local Theme Jack, Leads Master Pro, and also into the Mastermind that has the handout of this presentation, and it is being recorded so that there will be a replay on this at some point in time, and let's go from there. Let's see, somebody has another question. Let's see. Jimmy Hoskins is saying, when somebody asks me what I do, is business growth specialist too techie? No, I don't think so. I think that if you said, I'm a business growth specialist, pause, they'll probably say, what does that mean? What, they'll ask you to expand on that. Marilyn, what if cold call and they have no website with no emailing? I guess you're asking what to say. I haven't really thought about that, Marilyn, so I don't want to just throw something out there, but what I would do is I would write a script, a short script, and just practice that, and there are plenty of those type of scripts available online that you could probably find a paragraph that you could look at it, and I can also try to find something also. Let's see, Alexa. Well, the question that Alexa has, how does Google demote them, or how do they negatively impact on them? Google says, and if you've read any of the articles, it's all about their algorithm. Google says if you do not have a mobile-friendly website, then you will be penalized. So if you're telling this to a person, you would just quote what Google said, and then of course you can provide them with all that documentation. I've posted lots of articles about April 21st that you could use as documentation. So you just use Google as your source and just tell them that their site will be penalized. And more than likely after tomorrow, you'll probably have many people who go, oh yeah, it happened to me. What Google's actually going to do, if it's not mobile friendly, they're going to do a couple things. They're labeling sites. Remember, this is when you look at the site on a mobile phone. Google is going to label your site that it's not mobile friendly, and then they're also going to make it so that your site won't show up. Like, let's say there's 5 businesses, and 3 of them have mobile friendly, 2 don't. Well, 3 will probably show up, and the 2 that don't won't be there. That's what will happen. The PDF copies of the presentation have already been posted in Local Theme Jack, Leads Master Pro, and the Take Action Marketing Implementation Mastermind group. So they're there, and I posted them right before the presentation, so they should be on the top, and they'll also show up under the Files folder. Marilyn, what is a great follow-up line when they say, I don't need a website? Do I continue or just say goodbye? Well, again, I don't know who you're talking to. Most business owners, there's a lot of statistics that say that, for example, that more than 50% of all people are searching for businesses using their mobile phone, and that if you don't have a website, you don't exist to a lot of people. So you could probably do a little bit of research and come up with some pretty darn good lines that where you might at least have a conversation. Again, I am not somebody that tries to cram anything down anyone's throat. I'm more of an educator, advocate person, and I wouldn't even put myself into a cold situation like that. I would much rather get up in front of a group and educate them and have them begging me for information and begging me to help them than to put myself into the situation when I'm trying to talk to some stranger on the telephone. That's just me. Elwood, use video to do your talking if you don't like cold calling or emailing. Just my 2 cents. Absolutely, positively, Elwood. I'm a big advocate of using video, and I'm happy to say that Rebecca Happy and Wesley Hazlitt, they've even interviewed me to help them with their video marketing days that they're putting on in their hometowns, and using me as that expert. And then, of course, it helps them to become the expert. So let's see. Jorge, I believe that we are in the month of April right now. Okay. I think you need to say that mobile site has to be mobile friendly in Google's eyes. Customers may think zooming the view is okay, but Google says not. You're absolutely right. That's why we have the mobile wizard that shows you what a mobile-friendly website looks like and what one doesn't. And then you can also use the Google tester also that says, this site is mobile-friendly. This site failed. I mean, there's a lot of evidence and places that you can use. And of course, you have that side-by-side comparison with your mobile wizard, Jack, that is really, really good, where people could say that. And they need to understand that it's mobile-friendly if it looks good on a smartphone. And it's mobile-friendly if you don't have to pinch it or scroll horizontally. There's a lot of criteria that you can explain to people. And Nick says, when you talk to a group, do you just talk or do you use slide presentations or other equipment? When I speak, I create a PowerPoint presentation, but I have spoken to groups without any type of PowerPoint. It depends on the situation. I like to use visuals because, of course, I can point out. And a lot of times I will just use an internet connection and do what I would call a live demonstration, showing them videos, showing them Facebook. But I try to always have some type of demonstration. However, you cannot use a PowerPoint as a crutch because technology fails. So you have to be prepared to be able to talk without any type of visual aids. And I have had that happen, and to tell you the truth, I've had that happen, and people say, wow, that was the best presentation I ever heard, because I just spoke from my personal knowledge and I answered questions. So I do use PowerPoints or keynote presentations. I like to do that, but at the same time, I do not rely on that because you have to be able to just go with the flow. So that's one of the things. And Jorge says, yes, tomorrow, April 20th, is April 21st is the deadline. You're absolutely right. So yes, we're coming up on the Google Day. But again, the business is not going to stop on April 21st. The business for you, the opportunity, is still going to be there. So that is an artificial deadline. It's just a line in the sand that Google drew so that it would get people's attention, because they've been talking about this for several years, that sites needed to be mobile responsive and mobile friendly. People were going, yeah, whatever. But you put a deadline on it, guess what happens? People pay attention. It becomes newsworthy because it's got a deadline. The same reason why when I give you these assignments and I say to you, put it on the calendar, give yourself a deadline, because it makes you act. It makes you stop procrastinating. Nick, the question is, do I supply the equipment or does the host? I do have a projector, but I always request that the host provides the PC and the projector, and that they set up all the equipment, and then I show up with my thumb drive, and I always send my presentation via email also to the people at the host. So I quit being the person responsible for hauling around all my technology because my PC, got squished or something and the keyboard quit working. So I says, this is just too much. So I just said, okay, I require a projector, I require a PC, and I will show up, and I save my presentations in Keynote, PowerPoint, and PDF so that no matter what, I can get on and show my presentation. And yes, Jorge, you're absolutely right. People, there's plenty of business out there tomorrow, the next day, and to keep going. Elwood Lee says, can help everyone that wants to use video for everything. Okay. And yes, video is absolutely, it's my favorite foundation for content brand marketing. I like to start with video and then save it as my MP4, my MP3. I like to transcribe it, to make it into blog posts and into social media. I'm a big believer in the power of video in more ways than one because it keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And for example, if you noticed in the digital marketing theme, it has video. The video marketing agency theme has video. So that's something that, again, I believe very strongly in video. Let's see here. So Jorge says, so A, you can tell them it's coming and can ask them, and can you help? Then B, afterward you call them and ask, have your rankings gone down? And C, continue to follow up. That might be, or you could choose a handful of people, see where they're at, and if they don't have a mobile responsive website, see where they are after the 21st. And again, you say, I'm here to help you. So you have, there's just unlimited opportunities in local consulting. Again, you can help with websites. You have websites, video, reputation, SEO, Google Places, pay-per-click, pay-per-call, email marketing. I mean, there's just unlimited opportunity that you can do with local offline marketing, and it is definitely a growing industry. And again, you can start, you've got your local theme jack, you've got more than 140 niches, you've got all the tools that you could imagine. You've got your Sales Dynamite, you have your lead finder, you've got all the tools you need. All you have to do is get out there and sell, and that's why I'm trying to help you by giving you, just some ideas about things that you can do to get out there, to get new clients, to speak, to, write emails, to just apply this knowledge so that you can get some clients. And I think you'll all just do phenomenal, with this if this is what you choose to focus on. Because you do have to focus on it, and it is called work because it is work. It's not anything that just happens overnight, but you have this fine balance of learn, engage, act, prosper. And I'm calling that's leap. You have to take that leap where you learn, you engage, you act, and you prosper. And if you just keep doing that, it's little teeny leaps, and pretty soon it's that massive leap where it just builds until you've got this really good business that you're either doing full-time, part-time, or that you've scaled it up massively. Marilyn says, here's my challenge. When we send out using Lead Finder, we have no idea of how complex the site is that is not mobile friendly, how can we proceed unless we have web people we know, we think we can work with who can make the mobile site friendly? Again, Marilyn, you're putting the cart before the horse. If it's not mobile friendly, they have a problem, you need to figure out your packages in advance. What are you selling? And then you have tons of people who can help you with that tech part. So again, you need to know what you're doing. And I'm not sure if I answered your question or not, but I would not worry about proceeding unless that you have web people. You've got web people. You've got Jack. You've got hundreds of people right there. Jack's got you covered no matter what you need. So I wouldn't even have that be a worry. I'd put my energies into selling stuff and then give yourself time. Don't promise you're going to do this stuff tomorrow. You have to sell it, and you can't sell and fulfill if you're one person. You can't do it in one day because it's a different process. You have to sell, and then you say, okay, we'll put you into our queue and start working on your project, and then go from there. And Arlene says, I'm going to pick a few niches and do some searches to see who is now in the 7-pack, take some screenshots, write the URLs, and then go back and repeat the same to see what happened. So that might be a good way to do it. Arlene says, tonight was tremendous. I need the handouts for sure, as it went really fast for note-taking. Yes, I know, Arlene. But the good news is it's recorded, and like I said, I did put that up into Local Theme Jack, Lead Master Pro, and into the Mastermind, so you should be able to find it very easily, because I knew that when I posted all those questions, you wouldn't be able to write all those down, and I wasn't going to read through like 30, 40 questions, because I knew. So it looks like everybody's got their questions answered. We're already now going into 9:23, so we're over almost into an hour and a half. But I hope you guys got value and that you learned something tonight. And we do have a mastermind call tomorrow morning at 11, and I'll make sure everybody gets that. And I believe that if you want mastermind replays, you can get those, but that's all you get are the webinars once they're done. And I think there's information about that in the different sites. So, well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it, and I hope, like I said, that you got good value out of this. I worked really hard on pulling this all together for you because, like I said, I thought I was going to be flying solo, and luckily Jack came back and helped me get online. So good. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate all those kind thoughts about that you valued the training and everything, because it is I do try to think of what it is that can move everybody forward, because I know that all of this stuff really helped me. And if I had had some of this knowledge that I have now, I would probably be much farther ahead than everything. So, okay, well, I appreciate everybody again for coming out tonight. And of course, tomorrow is Monday, so I gave you a lot of homework to do. Your big goal, of course, is to start working on moving forward and to get at least one client a week. I think one client a week is really doable. It's 52 clients in a year, but if you can just keep moving forward, doing something, start putting your game plan together, start holding yourself accountable to move forward, putting deadlines on it, I think you're going to see a lot of really good success. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off, if that's okay, and I'll talk to you guys all soon. Thank you. And Jack said, please put your opinion of the training at the end of into the box, and do that, please. I really appreciate it. I do thank everyone.